look at this, Peach's Castle Apocalypse Hell, due to the fact that Chemic did manage to cast a spell for all this mess. So, it's up to us though to able to rescue her. So, anyways, hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Blossom here from the likes of Powerpuff Girls universe, and especially noticeable by the forms of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my Let's Play of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch in the forms of on the New Super Mario Bros. U mode. So, last time we actually did completely done with every single part, but the forms even Mirage, or in this case, you know, Moraine Clouds, that's what I meant to say. And also I've managed to able to complete the Ludwig's Clockwork Castle level on my own time off screen. So naturally speaking, that nothing else really changed around here other than just coins and score count is different. But except for Mario's life count, but either way though, and especially noticeable with his form. And I managed to change to purple space into the blue space this time around, just like how it does it from before. And yeah, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is the fact that we're about to be taking on the forms in the 8th world, at least if you have already played this game before, on the original Nintendo Wii U version, and that will have to be Peach's Castle. And as to be expected from any other new Super Mario Bros. Game at this day and time, basically everything else is all in lava. So even then though, compared to like Donkey Kong Island in the forms within Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, at least in that specific final world in that game, did usually utilize by the forms of like, well, basically pretty much different environments based off from Donkey Kong Country Returns, but in a singular level, but then covered in ice. Which either way though, I kinda wish there's more variety on them, honestly, but the forms within Peach's Castle, aside from the actual outside portion, and then especially noticeable there was like, well, there's gonna be too much magma as to be expected. But even then though, that, you know, this is one of those things out of the fact that, well, I kinda wish there was more variety in them, so. And I believe this is actually going to be the final time we're going to be getting the secret exit in the new Super Mario Bros. U game, and after that, then we are done with the secret exits from, because either way, yeah, not much else to really tell by this point, folks, other than I've recently managed to get myself, you know, Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64 for as a cartridge version at long last, just because of how the fact that for today was actually forms of the 18th of January in 2019 for, specifically in the Australian countries out there, that, you know, Mario Party Island Tour was also 5 years old in the Australia countries. Even then though, the only needs left now is the forms of the Japanese 5-year anniversary of Mario Party Island Tour. So even then though, once that's been done, well, I guess next of all will be in the forms of in 2020, it will be Mario Party 10's turn to be on the forms of the 5-year anniversary birthday. So even then though, just want to classify as such, even though I found that question to be kind of random, especially because of how the fact that, well, I just did not expect it all to. So even then though, let's go ahead and go back to this level for the final time, but this time I'm going to be playing as Nabbit, and I think this might be actually be the only time we're going to be playing as him in this video, because I don't think we can able to actually replay the levels as much whenever we get the blue, purple space into blue space. Well, there's only one exception left, but it forms of, you know, the 9th and the final world of the game, which I'm pretty sure that most people seem to already know about this at this rate. So even then, let me just speed things up a little bit until we're able to actually get this video going. And that's all I can really say when it comes to like Peach's Castle. Is basically, it's just a grand finale of the forms within the new Super Mario Bros. U game, even though not by much by the comparison to the forms within World 8, but the forms within new Super Mario Bros. For the Nintendo DS, at least in that specific game. If you think that the actual world itself was actually over, well, it turns out we're actually going to be come across into a second half of the world, which I really do appreciate it, because either way though, expecting it might be a the end scenario, but it turns out it was actually a to be continued scenario. So even then though, if you think you're done with the game, but it turns out you got one last thing to do. So even then though, that's as far as you will get. However though, that cannot be applied for this game on the other hand though, because it's basically you have to go for a series of goblins of, you know, trying to able to bypass through every single level in order to actually make your way to the front door of Peach's Castle. So that's as far as we can say about this for the most part. So anyways, so let's move on to the forms of Peach's Castle 2, but the forms of this particular mechanic. You remember this particular gimmick ever since the forms of you know, in New Super Mario Bros. Wii World 5-4, and especially noticeable with the original version of New Super Mario Bros. U on the exact same level. Well, basically, as you can see, we have ourselves a little bit of a counter on the bottom of that platform, which means it actually represents that if how much enemies there's actually standing on the raft, and I believe coins might do as well, but that'll be for the later level actually, because either way, it might do the exact same concept, but except, well, a little bit more different throughout. But either way though, we'll get into more certain points until whenever we get to that deciding point. So even then though, let's go ahead and just be very careful right here, especially because of how the fact that we really can't afford to get into the lava or anything, because if we get into the lava, well, we have to restart the whole entire purpose of the level again, so... But either way though, we don't want to let that happen. So either way, let's go ahead and get rid of those micro Goombas. In fact, one thing I actually appreciate about this kinds of stuff at this point, that, but the fact of the matter is though, is that if you remember in my last video, that I accidentally just select Yellow Toad twice in new forms of in World 7, but this time around though, I think I should probably go through the forms of like, you know, the exact, there's only 2 levels with Blue Toads this time, because I believe I felt incredibly bad for Blue Toads for Apple to actually missing out for his entirety of his adventure, which even then, if that will be the case, then, yeah, you know, I might as well able to go for it. So, even then, though, that's as far as I can usually say about this here. So, even then, though, let's go ahead and get rid of these Monty balls. So, even that way we can able to actually get them off of the platform or anything like that. Stupid Monty Moles. I always keep on getting hit by these guys with nothing else, even though it's nothing my fault or anything. I think this is most notably because of the actual, like, the spinning momentum in midair issue I still have with it. But either way though, that always attempts to bug me off in this version, so, and screw you, so. But on the plus side though, we can still manage to grab the forms of that star coin at least, but even then though, I believe we are essentially done with the forms of this level in general, but obviously we still need to watch out for lava in the end, and do a nice little jumps, and boom, we are done with the forms of that specific level alone, so there we go. Now, something I want to mention about this actually, before you're able to continue with this discussion, is the fact that, on my own time actually, I've managed to decide to hook up my last 2 Sega systems onto my TV at the moment, which are... I still managed to hook back onto the forms of my Sega Saturn at the moment, and especially noticeable, I've now managed to hook up my Sega Mega Drive, which, because of this though, I originally decided to hook up my PlayStation 1, Slim, and especially with my original Xbox console with us, but unfortunately not enough room for our room at the moment, or in this case the new environment right about now, and especially noticeable because of how the fact that it might seems redundancy to actually get ourselves those 2 systems, although we still managed to keep them, don't get me wrong, but it's just the fact the matter is though, is the fact that every nowadays, both PlayStation 1 and the original Xbox games, even if you ever play PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3 before, and especially noticeable by the forms of the Xbox 360 as well, those systems does have a backwards compatibility with the forms of some of these softwares concerned, which even then, I could appreciate if I was going to be doing that specific system, but I have no idea why I've managed to go myself. Well, I can still able to keep those systems though, but I'm probably not gonna get the new console for right now, because I'm presuming, according to the forms of the actual producers out there, that I've heard from the fact that the Nintendo Switch might actually be the Nintendo's last console for now, which I could assuming there might be something a little bit of a possibilities, because, well, I just think that we're about to be moving on to the forms of like the next generation or something. When it comes to gaming streams and stuff like that, it could be potentials of virtual reality experience. You know, just like the ones that how it does in one of the anime of Sword Art Online. That usually, that particular anime series usually takes place in somewhere in the 2020s. Or in this case, for this matter, in 2024, 2025, or 2026. Steve and Nendo, that could be one of those potentials of possibilities with what's going to be coming up ahead in the future. So, who knows? We'll find out until that time comes. But even then, it might not be real, though. At least compared to the forms of the actual Sword Art Online anime. So even then, that could be some potentials there. So there we go, that's it for that level. Even then though, as you can tell, that I've managed to dominate this stage, basically. Now, if you did not know already, I forgot to mention about this actually at the very beginning of this video. This is actually my second take for this particular video. Because of this though, I need to get a lot of practice in most of the stages in Peach's Castle, because I keep on dying and dying and dying and dying most of the time in this particular world. Definitely a little bit more trickier to me though, when it comes to those scenarios like this. But at least this world wasn't nearly as hard as it used to be, because after all, this world is really short compared to the forms of the final main worlds, like World 8 from New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, World 8 from New Super Mario Bros. Wii, World 6 from New Super Mario Bros. 2, and that's about it, obviously. So even then though, that when it comes to New Super Mario Bros. U entirely, including New Super Luigi U, which we'll get into during the likes of the next couple of days or so, well, at least before when Kingdom Hearts 3 is about to be launched, and even though it might be a little bit of an odd opportunity to you know, finish up with New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe Let's Play on the exact same day, or in this case, a day before, you know, Kingdom Hearts 3 was about to be released. And, you know, I'm still looking forward to playing that game, and then even then though, that I probably should able to talk more details onto that whenever I get into my first impressions of the game so far on the forms of, like, I would say I will let Piglet decide to able to come back into the forms of his Let's Play of Super Mario Galaxy, because he has been hoped up for that specific game for quite some time at this rate. But again, because of the forms of how the fact that there are still some more things to be had here, so even then though, that could be a little bit more of a possibility that's been happening and going. So even then though, let's just go ahead and continue on at this rate. And I should probably point things out right away also, is the fact that we've almost nearly towards the forms of, I believe we've only got ourselves 2 weeks left until the forms of February is about to be on this horizon. But in forms of, well, some more possibilities of news and all that stuff. Speaking of which, is the fact that I forgot to mention about this during the likes of a Moraine Clouds World video, that recently, that how the fact that we actually did manage to watch a brand new reveal trailer, or in this case a reveal gameplay footage of the new Mortal Kombat 11, which even then though, that will come on the PlayStation 4 once again, and especially noticeable by the forms of the Xbox One, and I believe the PC version as well. Oh, the freed up moon! Oh shoot, I seem to get hit by that Koopa shell at least twice, so, or in this case, one time, whilst the forms of the meteor shower, well, it did hit me just once, so, oh well, no big deal. So anyways, as far as what I see, the gameplay footage of Mortal Kombat 11, it plays exactly almost identically to the forms of in Mortal Kombat 9, and especially with Mortal Kombat 10, but, or in this case Mortal Kombat X, if you really want to be more precisely on that, or in this case XL, for the expansion of the forms of the original game. So, oh god, I just need to watch out. Oh, there we go. Whew. That was pretty close, but hey, we got it in the end. So anyways, with the Mortal Kombat 11, that's, I believe they did show us by the forms of, like, there are, like, 6 playable characters at the moment, like, Baraka and, Scorpion, obviously, Sub-Zero, and especially noticeable with, Sonya Blade, and I believe a new character, or in this case, Raiden, I should say. And I don't know about the 6th playable character though, but I'm also able to find things out for, whenever I looked up on that, reveal gameplay again. So even then though, it looks kind of interesting, but I don't know if I can able to pick it up though, because, I'm not exactly a purely master with the forms of Mortal Kombat, I'm going to tell you right about now. But I do enjoy the PlayStation Vita game still, but either way though, I'm presuming Buttercup is actually really into the actual, series at this rate. Well, at least we'll let Buttercup know that she would able to actually get some experiences of the original game and the second game, but my sister Bubbles doesn't seem to like violence. Well, she usually just don't mind it, because either way though, I remember that one time that whenever she's incredibly like mad at us, both me and Buttercup, to able to actually decide that we are the toughest, and then Bubbles was actually like scared and stuff, but even then she actually did manage to able to outright against it, which even then, that she actually demolishes everything but he forms within a Professor of Utolium, you know, training sessions or something like that. I don't know, I'm just getting a little bit more convinced at this rate, because even though the only part, apologize by the forms if I seem to have lost my memories from the past 20 years, which I will admit though right away, I just simply forget about the forms of that atrocious reboot types of decisions, because either way though, I really hate the reboot version of that specific show, because I personally think that the 1998 version counterparts of the Powerpuff Girls is still the best. Even for the forms of, you know, their own friends who actually decide to able, you know, she's the only iconic legendary when it comes to like cartoons alike. So, especially noticeable with the forms of like some, you know, voice actors as well. So, oh Christ, we have to dodge those little electrical currents here. So, hopefully I'm as well able to dodge those, which even then though, I'm as well able to actually be very careful there. And by the way, we need to get used to with this platform right there, because if one of the enemies, or the coins especially, landed on that platform, well, there's your chance to able to actually get rid of them. But if you do, then you would able to continue upwards. But if not, then you're gonna be stuck there, and then as a result, if you keep on getting stuck like I do, well, oh jeez, this is not good. Please, 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 don't ever die. No! Shoot! Ah! Oh, that sucks. I realize there's no checkpoints, aren't there? No, there wasn't, so I'll meet you guys back in a successful attempt. By the way, there's an extra things itself by towards the end of the game where you can go ahead and extend your like items for, you know, for quite a lot, which was in fact, you know, I just rambling for myself. I think that's why you guys should do not understand what I'm saying. But I digress. This is what I mean when it comes to like some of these games these days. Whenever like just forget what I just said. Alright, so that does it for that level after 2 attempts on that level, so not too awful or anything, unlike the forms of how it does it from the past, but still, it can get pretty difficult in some scenarios, most notably towards the end. So here we go folks, onto the forms of, you know, as you expected at this point, the final battles, so... But let's not deal with the final battle with Mario though, because let me go ahead and change the players for a moment into Toadette. Even though, unfortunately, I don't have a super crown or anything, because either way, there's actually a little bit of a secret here. If you manage to able to play this level as P-Jet, the coolest thing about it though is the fact that, well, I'll speak to you at this point whenever we're able to get to the, you know, the final boss of this version of the game, which I'm pretty sure you might be very familiar if you ever played the Wii U version of the game before. So, and before we get to the final boss, on the other hand though, I just realized we start the level off with 800 seconds, which that's plethora of time for Toadette or Nabbit if you might as well able to noticing that. But hey, at least that's something, right? So yeah, before we get to the final boss, on the other hand though, just like the ones in New Super Mario Bros. U, the original game, basically you get out to able to actually deal with Bowser Jr. And then after when you deal with Bowser Jr., then it's up to you to able to actually stop Bowser. So even then though, I don't think we can able to deal with a full-fledged level or anything like that. It's just a little bit of a short, brief level, I should say, or in this case a brief platforming section. And then after when it's done so, then you have to enter the door very, very quickly before Bowser Jr. strikes onto you. So even then though, that should be mainly the case. And I could appreciate if I was going to be able to show this little cool secret crown transformation for, you know, Toadette for P-Jet. Because of that though, I might as well able to show that off, and looks like it's a fire flower, so... Yeah, unfortunately I didn't get a chance to show that off. Well, at least if you're able to actually just able to know that, I'll put it to the link in the description below, to able to know that if what happens if you manage to able to get to this part with P-Jet's transformation, which, well, at least after when you're able to deal with, Bowser's first phase, which even then, again, it's very familiar, and just like before, we need to get right onto the forms of that exclamation mark switch, and boom. Oh wait, I missed. Oops. And what the hell? He decides to jump in the air, and then decides to able to actually get ourselves a brief moment like cannonball type of scenario, but at least he doesn't fall into the lava or anything like that, or would he? Of course, it's pretty obvious Bowser Jr. and Kamek is up to something, which, true enough, I'm pretty sure it might actually transform Bowser into a Gigantism. Which, I'm presuming that's what may be the case, which is pretty clear at this point is that the fact that the developers got pretty lazy and started reusing some assets over and over again. But nothing really changes about it, even though, again, it's still pretty much exactly the same, so... Anyways, here's Princess Peach, right onto the forms of that specific tower section. But again, since I don't have an ability to transform into Peachette, well, you know. So yeah, that's why she only says that when you select either Toad, or Toadette, or Nabbit. Well, the forms of Mario, she usually normally says Mario, but then Luigi on the other hand though, she actually says Luigi. So, but if you're most able to actually transform into yourselves Peachette with Toadette, Peach might actually get a little bit more confused, and she actually discover a word, what? Which even then, that's because she actually never seen another doppelganger of Peach before, so that's why she might actually get herself confused that which version of Peach was actually real or not. Oh, what the? Oh, really, Bowser? You're not gonna let me try and able to fly over your head? Oh, jeez, how mean of you. But anyways, though, that only happens if you manage to transform into Peachette, though, for that specific secret. But again, I'll put a link in the description below if you really want to check that out on the actual, the link down below from someone else's video, because I don't know if I can able to actually show you guys off from it. Well, at least if you could, if you manage to find it for yourself, but either way, though, that's as far as we can able to say about it, so... Anyways though, here we go with the usual final boss of New Super Mario Bros. U / New Super Luigi U, which we'll get into later, and especially noticeable with this particular version of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, which again, very simple, and also it's very similar to the forms of even though it's exactly the same final boss as before, but except, well, within full 1080p, and plus with the forms of, well, it's pretty much nothing different about it. It's just pretty much exactly the same fight as of previously, but, well, there's not much different around it, other than, well, obviously with the forms of the... I'm just a little bit more confused at this rate, because even then, though, there's not much to this, final boss, other than it's the exact same one. But even then, though, that makes me a little bit more of a truth of Delta. So anyways, let's go ahead and fly towards up into its head, and I get a feeling, yeah, it did attack me from here, so screw you, Bowser. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna die. And it could be worse if I die, though, because if I do, then I have to redo the entire first phase of Bowser fight again, which... oh no, I'm gonna die. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, good, 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 good. Okay. Whew. Alright, come on. Come on, Bowser Jr., hurry up. Hurry up, do a dive ability already. Okay, simply just take him out of the actual Koopa Clown card, and just stomp him, and boom, he's down. Well, at least in terms of I'm not sure, probably be about 100 million times already, which, at this rate, I think I'm kind of sick of well, nothing too awful for Bowser or anything, it's just that, well, I'm kind of getting sick of the forms of, the rehashing stories every single time, even though it's just my little nitpicking here, but nonetheless, though, we are done with the New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe of New Super Mario Bros. U mode. Well, not completely just yet, because obviously, that, just like before, then, after when you complete the main world, then there might be something more else to it. And speaking of such, if you ever played New Super Luigi U, the original version of New Super Luigi U before, then, you know, this particular ending is kind of familiar to you, because if you see on the far right, Nabbit was there. And the only difference is that, as you can tell, since we're playing as Toadette, she actually does a bow, and Peach, for some reason, gives her a kiss on her head, which means, a lesbians! Oh no, not really. But, it's just one of those things, how the fact that sometimes it gets a little bit confusing sometimes, even compared to the forms of, for Mario and Luigi's sake. So yeah, let's see the ending of the forms of New Super Mario Bros. U, portion of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Again, pretty much exactly the same ending as the ones from the original, except, well, again, not much different from here. So, again, I'll get to my final thoughts of the forms of the actual, the entire combo package of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. Well, up until whenever we finished both New Super Mario Bros. U and New Super Luigi U all in the same playthrough, even though it's kind of redundant because we've already technically done these two Let's Plays before, but on the Nintendo Wii U console. But in the forms of that, though, I've decided able to technically, this is more likely a somewhat of a redo Let's Play of those two, but except with the forms of the Nintendo Switch controllers. So, but look, there's Nabbit on the rooftop, and this time around, though, Mario shows up. So even then, though, definitely a little bit more of a spirited right there. So even then, though, yeah, that's about it. And obviously this credit sequence is very familiar because you're still able to actually collect those coins due to this baby Yoshi's here. And you can still able to actually collect some coins as a result. And you can still mess around with the actual letters and all that stuff on this credit sequence. I'm pretty sure this credit sequence is actually based off from the original New Super Mario Bros. U game. Because if you couldn't tell, because of how the fact that when we get to the very end, they did actually mention this is actually the only time that we might actually see that familiar name that Buddy forms. So if you know Shiwati Iwata, that you know he did recently passed away in 2015. Technically speaking, his name still showed up in the forms of the original version of this credit sequence, which either way, you guys should know what I'm talking about as soon as we get to the very end at least. But even then, not gonna spend too much of the forms of the staff credit sequence other than it's the exact same credit sequence as from last time. But except the fact that, well, the noticeable difference is obviously Toadette starts to shine. And especially noticeable how the fact that I'm pretty sure in every single often is the fact that I'm pretty sure the nap bit will still showed up while Buddy forms of the credit sequence or something like that. But again, a little bit rusty by the forms of some of these comparisons in between titles and stuff like that. They're still pretty fun though, all in all, but I just think that it might be a little bit of a missed opportunity to able to actually just get another Wii U port of the forms of that specific time alone. But I kind of wish there was like Super Mario Maker port, or in this case a Super Mario Maker 2, but that's not going to happen, which I'm afraid to say that might be something more related to by the forms of like some decisions that it's not my decisions or anything like that. But even then, I do understand because of how the fact that the reason why this existence in the first place is because of how the fact that the Wii U sales is pretty poor. But as far as I'm concerned, it's the fact that speaking of the selling points of this particular version of the game, this game managed to able to sell even more than the original Wii U version of the game, which I can assume this version of the game sells for about 56% more than the original game, which is kind of surprising, but at the same time, that again, this is actually worth about like, if you're able to actually purchase this in North America, it usually costs about like $60 compared to the forms of a pretty low price on the Wii U version of the game. So you guys should probably know exactly what I'm gonna say. But either way though, but at least I managed to able to got this version of the game with a still original price, but in forms of let's just say £43, which is still a little bit cheap, a little bit pricey, especially because this is on the Nintendo Switch. But honestly, I think the actual Wii U version is still pretty cheap to buy nowadays, especially because of how the fact that, well, if you haven't really played this game already on your Nintendo Wii U, then this might be a good way to able to do it. But I will say though, is that this version is actually pretty alright and stuff. But even then though, still runs at 60 frames per second and all that stuff. And especially every nowadays, it's now in 4 and 1080p this time around though, which I really appreciated with this stuff. But on the other hand though, that cannot be applied by the forms of that specific one annoying gimmick, and that will have to be by the forms of the, you know, the air spin mapped to the same button as the jump button, which, again, I'll get to my final thoughts of this particular version of the game when we're able to actually completely done with New Super Mario Bros. U, which we're not exactly done with it yet, but also by the forms of New Super Luigi U mode as well. So yeah, Shiwata Iwata was there still, Steve Veneno, because again, this is based off from the New Super Mario Bros. U original credit sequence. So, and as you can see, no copyright numbers this time around though shown up. I believe this might be something to do with like, I don't know, like a secret island extra. But even then, no, that could only be one thing by the exclusive to the forms of the Switch version. So, but even then, no, we'll show that off until tomorrow's video, because obviously, after we deal with all that, then, you know, we get ourselves a secret island, and sure enough, after that, then we could able to actually go to, what else? The 9th and the special world. In this case, the final world of the game, or at least for the new Super Mario Bros. U game. So, either way though, you still come across into the forms of Superstar Road, and that's all there is to know. So, and obviously, since we actually collected every single star coins, now we can able to actually deal with the rest of the remaining levels from World 9 itself. So even then though, yeah. And also, we got ourselves the 2nd star and the forms of the 3rd star, which I'll get into more details onto that, but I'm sure many people already know about the star system on this particular game, so it's pretty much exactly the same. But as you can see, no Miiverse post on it this time around, which means there are no balloons across the world map this time. So even then though, rest in peace, Miiverse. So, we got the endings off at this point here, folks, so join me next time on Let's Play New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe in a new Super Mario Bros. U mode. Here's the fact that we're going to be hit off to the final world in the game, Superstar Road. See you, Fernando. See you guys next time for that. Later, fellas. Interesting.